Welcome back to another episode of All Wizards Talk podcast on the All Sports Talk Network. I'm one of your co-hosts, Bryson, Akins, joined alongside, as always, by Josh Valdez. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Follow along with us on Apple Podcast as well. Today, talking about Dybantsa, the Wonder Boy, the savior of this franchise is basically what people are deeming him now. And the expectations that are just around him right now. A lot of hopes regarding Wizards fans that are thinking he's going to lead them to the playoffs. That it's going to be their first playoff appearance since what, Josh? 2021?
2021, yep, during
Like
COVID.
it's been a while. And Wizards
Yeah.
fans think AJ is going to be this guy that gets them over the hump, getting him, getting him to that spot where it's like, yeah, the Wizards are finally back on the map. But there are a lot of questions surrounding him and his rookie season that we kind of got to discuss before we get into the season. And the first off, Josh, how do you think he's going to fit into this starting rotation anyways with all this talent that's going to be around him?
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking for him to be in line with kind of what Josh Robin from the Athletic was reporting, how he's gonna basically share the ball with Trey and Keyshawn, as two main ball handlers, but there'll probably be some other guys mixed in like Bub in there as well, right? And Bub and Will Riley as well. Sorry, but I think that AJ needs to be a big piece of the Wizards, ascension this season, but he shouldn't be the number one option all the time, right? He's not going to be
Yeah.
what he was at BYU, where he led in usage rate and points per game. But I think that he needs to be more like kind of like Khan was for Charlotte last season.
Okay.
Um,
I can kind of see
I
that. Yeah.
think, yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of a benchmark. I was actually just writing an article about that. Obviously, there are different styles of player, but just in terms of the effect on the team, Khan had about a 22.3% percent usage rate. He was like tied for third on the Hornets
Yeah.
with Miles Bridges. He was behind Brandon Miller and LaMelo, obviously. But kind of like that, where you're like one of the top three on the sheet. That you're kind of like you're up there, but you're not necessarily the top dog
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah. Like you said, not going to be like the same kind of player where Khan is a big catch and shoot guy. That's where he really thrives. Whereas AJ, it's completely different. He thrives with
Right.
the ball in his hand driving, but like being the second, third option, not being the first option immediately, kind of like how, Coop was down in Dallas, where he got drafted. He was immediately like, yeah, he is the focal point. We understand we have Anthony Davis at the moment, but Coop, he's
Yeah.
got to be the focal point. He's got to be this guy that's going to lead the offense, be the first option. He's going to be the point guard as well. AJ, he is just blessed in a situation where he doesn't have to come
Yeah.
in and be the guy. Now, after this season or a season, two more seasons from now, that's when you kind of want AJ to step up and be your first option, averaging 25 points a game.
Yeah.
This season,
Right.
though, there's not like he doesn't have that kind of pressure like some other players have, like Cameron Boozer, for example. He's going to have a ton of pressure on him to kind of be the offense now. He's basically the only offense Memphis has at the moment. The Kings, Darius Acuff, he's going to have to be a focal point. I understand they have DeMontis Sabonis at the moment, but odds are Sabonis, is going to be traded if the Kings actually do want to rebuild and center around Acuff as well. A lot of these
Yeah.
rookies that were in the lottery, they just aren't in the situation that, AJ or even Darren Peterson are in, where it's like, yeah, they can kind of take a backseat role and get used to the level of play in the NBA.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back, like you mentioned with Utah as well. These are teams that kind of with DC and Utah, these are teams that kind of built backwards in a sense, because a lot of
Yeah.
teams will start off with the main guy they want to build around. Like Detroit with Cade, for example, is one of those. A lot of teams will like get the guy first and then build around him. But these teams did it the kind of the opposite way. Just not necessarily that they intended to, it's just kind of how it worked out. It
Some
was what
bad
was
luck.
available to them.
Let's it's
Yeah, I
just
mean,
bad luck. Let's
yeah, but they still made do with what they had. So they were like, all right, we didn't get lucky at first, so let's just build backwards, right? For
Yep.
example, like with the Spurs, they get all the luck in the world. They get Wemby 2023, then they get Castle, Dylan Harper. It's like they build it up pretty well. Then in Wemby's third season, they're in the finals, right? So it's not that clean for everybody. But this is a result of the Wizards building a lot before AJ even got there. So now he can slot in and just be a piece that is a good player, hopefully, but not like you said. It's not going to be like Cooper in Dallas right away or Darius Acuff and Zach. So.
Yeah. And I also think like, talking about his fit a little bit more as well. Like we mentioned, he doesn't have to be the first option. That's going to help him out a ton. Um,
Yeah.
while he was in college, something that was questioned was his playmaking and defensive ability. Those two things were the biggest question marks for him as a prospect. I think the playmaking you're going to instantly see, with the amount of talent that he already has around him. Even when he's playing with the bench unit, he's going to have Trey Johnson, Will Riley off the bench for him, helping out a little bit. DeAndre Ayton as well as his big man run some pick and roll action, which will help him get downhill even more. Where his assist numbers in college, I think he only averaged like 4 assists a game in college, where like at the pro level, I think you could see him average like 6 assists in his rookie season, which is a pretty big increase. But that's mainly because, like we mentioned, the amount of talent he just has around him to set him up for success this season.
What's funny about that is if he were to average 6 assists as a rookie, I think that would be pretty amazing just because he'd have to be on the ball like a decent amount for that, right? Whereas I feel like, guys like Trey will pass to him if he's open on the outside maybe
Yeah.
or he can come in, you know what I mean? So it's like it's gonna be a balance kind of figuring out how much he wants to shoot versus how much he wants to defer, you know.
Yeah, and it's also
Gonna figure that
going to
out.
come down to how much is Trey Young going to play off ball as well, and
Yeah.
how well he uses the double big lineup of Anthony Davis and Alex Sarr. He's going to
Yeah.
love using them for pick and rolls, trying to get downhill to where eventually it's going to be one point at some point where the help defender, he's going to get off his man, take on AJ, gives a mismatch for Sarr, AD, or maybe his defender cheats the screen and opens up one of those two guys for an easy little roll to the basket without him even truly near the screen. That's where I see him getting a lot of assists, is in those
Mm.
situations. I could see half his assist every game coming from those pick and roll situations alone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. His team's gonna have so many options of how they want to run offensive sets and all that, right? Like we know that AD is gonna be a big piece of that whenever he's on the court, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is a guy who, he's not gonna run the offense, but he's gonna finish a ton of plays for you. So that automatically is gonna put the ball in his hands at least a decent amount. So and then like we already said, there's guys like Trey Young, as well. So. I think that it's a matter of AJ has the pressure on him to kind of figure out how he can best impact winning, right? And it's going to be a lot different than at BYU. That's kind of his
Yes.
pressure. Like,
At
how can he
BYU,
adjust?
especially like start
Yeah,
of February, that's when their team started to get a lot of injuries, and it came down to just strictly being AJ Dybantsa on that team. Whereas like he had to carry them. Once
yeah,
Richie Saunders, for example, went down, who was, some people had him late first, early second. He still ended up getting drafted, which really happy for him because he was great at BYU as the second option. But once he went down, you can tell that BYU offense just it took a hit. AJ wasn't passing as much because he didn't have a true second option he could rely on, especially as a shooter. That's where like I'm really interested to see how he fits alongside Trey Johnson in some lineups, having another catch and shoot guy that can really help him out there. But like I said, that's the main reason I could see his playmaking actually be a lot better at the NBA level than what we saw
Mhm.
in college, just simply because, unlike at BYU, he finally has a lot of high end talent and scoring options with the Wizards.
Yeah. And the other thing with this too is like part of why Khan was so good last season is because it's not just that he was a great shooter and everything, is that he showed that he was efficient and could impact winning right away.
Yes.
Like that team was what, 6 games above 500. It's not just that, oh, show me that you're talented and you can score with the ball in your hands. It's that does it impact winning? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's the difference with like Cooper Flag was amazing, but it didn't impact winning because the team wasn't that good. So he could just kind of spam the stats.
Yep.
And it was very debatable who deserved Rookie of the Year, even though Cooper did amazing individual stuff. Khan was really having great numbers on a winning team
The
as a
argument became,
but,
like who was impacting
but
winning. And, even though Khan wasn't, the first option, and a lot of times he wasn't even the second option. He was the third option at times. The argument was like, look at them. They're a playing team. They're a few games above 500. So that's why some people voted for Khan over Coop simply because he just won more games. He impacted winning on the court a few more times.
and it wasn't close. Like Dallas was at the bottom, and it's
Yeah.
not Cooper's fault. But it's just this is a Wizards team that if they're at the bottom next season, something went terribly wrong, right? They're not expected to be at the bottom. They're
Yeah. If
expected
they
to,
only win like 20, 25 games, something went really wrong this
yeah,
season.
exactly. Like they should be seriously competing for a spot, around like eighth seed, ninth seed, in that area in the East.
Yeah, the goal for them is of course get to the play-in, and that's where AJ can definitely help them out a little bit. Where it's like the
Yeah,
starting lineup, no matter who you choose as the last starter between Trey Johnson, Bilal, or Keyshawn George. One of those three
Hmm.
guys, they've all proven with Trey Young that they can score. They've all proven that
Yeah.
where their production does increase, and some of them can play off ball, like Keyshawn and Trey. They can play off ball. Keyshawn can also play on ball as well if you need. Where it's like no matter who he's starting alongside, he's going to have people that he can rely on, which is already going to a increase what he can do fit wise, and then b also increase the team's winning percentage.
Yeah. And, it's also like, okay, can you impact winning, but also like with rookies, we know that you're gonna have like these bumps and valleys and stuff. How do you bounce back from it, right? It's kind of a
That's a
cliche,
big thing. Yeah,
but yeah, it's just like you know that AJ is gonna have some not great games as a rookie. It's just it happens to every
every
rookie.
rookie does. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you're doing this in an environment where, these young Wizards past couple seasons, they had all the rope in the world to make mistakes. Now it's like it's not really like that anymore. Obviously, he's not gonna get like benched out of the rotation. But
yeah,
you could start to see kind of, if things kind of, if he kind of hits a wall, it could get a little shaky. It's just testing his mental makeup from that respect. I don't expect it to be a problem. He seems like, a really locked in kid, but it's nothing can prepare you, from just being in that situation when, you're in the NBA your first season and, some games are it doesn't look that great. How do you respond to that?
yeah. And so we've also brought up the averages a little bit, and that's the next thing I think we should talk about here is
Yeah.
like what exactly are we going to see AJ Dybantsa in his rookie year average? Because like we mentioned, it's not like he's coming to a team and he's the instant first option. It's not like
Yeah.
this is the start of the rebuild. He got drafted to a team that is officially leaving the rebuild phase where it's like, okay, let's learn how to win basketball games. And then after this, the 2027-2028 season is when we're really competing, where we're really competitive with, people. But this season, it's all about winning some games, learning how to win in close situations, how to battle through adversity, that sort of stuff. And so, like we mentioned, AJ Dybantsa, he's just not going to get the looks that a Cameron Boozer or like a Darius Acuff is going to get. So, what do you think he's going to average with the Wizards his rookie season?
Yeah, point wise, I'll go like at least 16, hopefully maybe 17. Um, you know, because AJ, right, like he's a scoring player, but he's also going to play with a lot of guys that are going to get shots, right? So I'm
Yeah,
trying to temper expectations. I don't think he's touching 20 as a rookie. It's more about the efficiency for me than just like the raw points per game. That goes for in general, but especially for him, like, for example, Khan shot 47.5% looking at it from the field last season. If he can be around 47% with like 16 points a game or 17, I think that's perfect.
that's pretty good. Yeah. I was thinking, 15, 16 is what I was thinking points wise, just because, like you mentioned, 20 points, I just feel like that's really hard for any rookie.
Yeah.
Going into their first season, and especially this season, I just don't see any rookie from their class averaging 20 points per game and being qualified as well for awards. So
Yeah.
I kind of have him at like that 15, 16 range, and I have him at like 45, 34 shooting splits.
Hmm.
Which not horrible, not good, just kind of average, but it's kind of what you expect from a rookie. Is like average. You're still learning the NBA level style of play where getting used to pace. You're going to have some off nights, just getting used to different matchups, different physicality. And then you're going to have nights where you really show out and you score 30 points per game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like he's gonna have those crazy nights, but he's gonna have some not so great nights. So it's like I just want to see, what your baseline is at the NBA because like that's something that you really got to prove. I remember when I talked to him at the draft, he was like, "I've been off the ball before. I played with Tyron Stokes at
Yeah.
a prolific prep. He's played with guys off ball with Team USA. So it's like." And the Wizards have also said like we're going to share the ball and all that. So it's like, can you be successful in a completely different context than you had in college? You obviously he does have some sharing the ball experience from before college, but it's like this is the NBA, right? So let's see how you do it at the highest level. That's kind of the main thing with this. And then if he does it well, the numbers will reflect that. Like you said, it shoots 45/34, it splits. I think that's more than enough.
Yeah, no, that's definitely more than enough. Just kind of, have a good rookie season. That's the big thing where it's like don't average 13 points per game on, decent efficiency. I would like to
Right.
see him, like I said, 15, 16 is where I have him. High end, I have him at 18. I just feel like a lot has to go his way for him to average 18 points per game as a rookie. But I feel like 15,
Yeah.
16 is that kind of, good little range for him as first year in the league.
And that's the thing. It's like it just means that whatever's the best for the team, right? Because averaging more
Yep.
points isn't necessarily best for the team. If it's like taking too many shots or other guys aren't getting enough looks. Because I think the whole point of this team is that there's different guys who could hurt you. So you don't want AJ or anybody else taking too much of the load because then you're not playing to your full capability as a team. So if yeah, I think where you have him is good because it's like okay, it's the best balance between his own production and then the team.
Yeah. Also think like rebounding, assist wise, like I said with assist, I see him at like 6 per game his rookie season, which I know a lot of people are going to think that's kind of insane to think he's going to average that much as a rookie when you look at what he did in college. Like I mentioned, the big reason for that is because you look at who he was playing with in college. He was playing with one pro guy, then he got injured halfway through the season where it's like he
Yeah.
didn't have a ton of offensive weapons around him to where now he does where he can kick out a little bit more and he's going to have more assist opportunities just naturally with some better shooters on his team, better, big men to use for screens for pick and rolls, pick and pops, whatever it may be. So I see his assist numbers going up from what we saw in college at, around 6 a game, and rebounds I'm at like 4.5. He's not going to be like some insane, board crasher by any means, but he's going to get a few just every now and then, just being in the right spot, right time. Someone his size, they're naturally just going to get like 4 to 5 rebounds.
Yeah, I'll probably go with both around four each assists and rebounds. I think that I'm a little bit lower on the assist total than you just because I think that um, he's not gonna have like having the ball for 6 assists per game. That's like that would lead a lot of teams, and I'm not sure that he's gonna. I still think Trae Young will lead the team in assists.
I think so too.
He'll
I still
probably
think Trey's going to get like, 10
yeah.
assists per game. I still think that. It's just, AJ, I feel like when we're talking about players that are going to have the ball in their hands more, more than
Yeah.
others, I think he'll have the ball in his hands second most on the team. Trey will be first, then it'll be AJ second. I just think naturally, with the better weapons around him, he'll kick out
Mhm.
more often on drives, especially because he's going to drive. He's going to force defenses to collapse, and he now has shooters out there around him, and like Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, Trey Young, Bub Carrington when he's sharing the floor with him, Justin Champagnie, where like he has the options around him now for kicking, driving kicks or screening options or just off ball work.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
And so it's just
I think it's like there's only so many. It depends on how much they score in general, right? There's only so many assists to go around. So if you have a guy averaging 10, having another guy averaging 6, that would be impressive. I mean, you have a great offense,
yeah,
but
it would.
it's just like that's 16 assists per game between two guys, and then other guys have more. So that's that would just mean the Wizards' offense would be fantastic, and as a team. But I think it's a matter of all right, if
Yeah,
he gets
the
4
league
assists per
average,
game,
by the way, is 27
yeah,
assists per game, and so that is 16 of the 27
yeah,
between them, and
yeah.
like that, and the goal is to at least be an average team where it's like, yeah, this season you at least got to get league average and whatever they are for majority of
Yeah.
stats. Like an assist is one of those. Trey Young naturally will already take their assist ups, but like I mentioned, I just think there's going to be more options around him to kick it out to, where it's like it's not going to be a BYU situation where
Yeah.
for the last 15 games he had to be the offense there. He had to score more. He had to shoot more. Whereas like here, he doesn't have to take 20 shots a game. He can take 10 shots a game, get to the line 4 separate times, shoot 8 free throws, and get his 16 points there while getting 5 to 6 assists that night.
Yeah. For sure. I think he'll have plenty of games where he gets 6 assists. I'm just saying, like, for me, I would totally accept it if you had 4 assists and 4 rebounds or 5 rebounds, because I'm just not expecting as much from him in the passing department as I am, like, shooting efficiently and getting to the line, like you said. Because to me, it's more about, like, okay, just get to the rim, and then when you get there, either shoot or kick out, or just whatever the right decision is in that moment.
Yeah.
So And I think it's they're gonna have to learn each other, like how much they want to share with each other and everything. Like Keyshawn's gonna be on the ball a bit, like
Yeah.
we said. So, you know,
And
um,
part of this just might be like what kind of player I envision him like becoming in 3 to 4 years. And it's
yeah.
just like when I watch him, I see a lot of like a potential Jason Tatum player at him. And like if you can
Mhm.
add Jason Tatum to your team, that already is going to make you a threat in your conference. Because, like even though a lot of publications, don't have Jason Tatum as a top 10 player, when he plays, he's a top 5 player in the league. And I'll die on that hill for him. But this is not what we're really talking about this episode. But that's just the kind of player I see, envision him becoming is a Jason Tatum kind of player where in his prime, he's going to average like 27, 7, 7 a night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like for me, it's just like starting off on the right foot, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that he could average those Tatum numbers, down the line here, but we're just looking at next season, right? So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, be an efficient piece of a winning puzzle. I think that's the best way I can say it, where it's like he's blessed to not have to carry the load right away, like a lot of top, number one picks do.
Yeah.
But it's like I can live if you if you don't average 6 assists as long as you're passing the ball well when you do have it, right? Like don't turn the ball over too much. It's more about like it's all relative to his usage and whatever opportunities he has, right? So if you're averaging at least twice as many assists as turnovers as a rookie, I'm not beefing with that.
Yeah, no, there's no beef with that. It's like you don't want to be 2 assists and 2 turnovers. That's the thing. You
Yeah,
don't want to you don't
exactly.
want to do that. Like if you're gonna have 2 turnovers, at least have 4 assists. Whatever.
Yeah,
At least double your assist of whatever how many turnovers you have. Defensively,
exactly.
I think is another interesting thing to look at is
Yeah.
like we mentioned earlier, like that's a big that was one of his biggest critiques as a prospect is like the defense is not there even though athletically and his size shows he should be a really good defender, and we kind of saw it in summer league where like the defensive mindset is there. I think it's a lot of learning how to use his size to generate deflections out on
Yeah.
the perimeter, and I think it's there now for his averages. Do I think he's going to average a steal and a block per game? No, I don't. I just don't think so. And it's mainly because he's not going to be your defensive anchor. Alex or Anthony Davis are there for that reason. They are your defense. You're not letting anyone, beat you inside. If they beat you outside, congrats. You had a great shooting night. But to do that, you're going to have to shoot like 40% against us from distance. Inside, you're not going to shoot over 50% against us each night. That's kind of their mindset. So with AJ, I can see him averaging like, just under a steal per game just because I think naturally he's going to get a deflection or two every game. Just
Yeah.
naturally with his size. It's just the blocks. I'm not expecting him to be any kind of rim protector whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's because it's just not his game right now, and he does have the size where he could get better at that. But again, as a rookie in the NBA, I'm not expecting a guy who barely had stocks in college to all of a sudden become like a stock maven, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And, and I keep bringing up his BYU days, but like that's, the most that we have over him at the moment.
mhm.
At BYU is just not known to have your star put in a lot of effort on defense. It's kind of similar to how James Harden was in Houston, for example, where it's like,
Mhm.
sure, like James Harden could play, at least average defense, but it's like, why are we going to have him waste, energy and effort on that end when he could just score 45 for us? And
Yeah.
BYU kind of had the same philosophy for AJ.
And that's the thing. We know in DC it's not going to roll like that, right? So
No,
it's
it's not
like,
going
all
to roll
right,
like that whatsoever.
like because you're not like the number one scoring option every single minute, so you do have to play defense. Trey Young is already the guy that we know that he's not. I mean, it's not that he doesn't want to necessarily
It's
in
just his
DC.
size just makes it where he's
He's just
naturally going
too
to be a
small to
mismatch.
play great defense. Yeah, so AJ 6'9", it's like so in DC they're gonna say we need you to contribute. And to me, for defense, it's less about the stats, to be honest. It's just more like how does the film look? Are you usually staying in
It's
front
that
of your
like it's
wing?
how he actually looks. Are you staying in front of your guy?
Yeah,
That's a big thing.
right. Are you,
Are
are
you not
you
getting blown by?
yeah. Are you making the shots hard when he shoots? When your man
Yeah.
shoots?
What's
Um,
your help defense look like? Like it's
right.
stuff like that. It's for defense, you can't really truly look at the stats. Now there are some stats that can tell the story. Like blocks,
Yeah.
for example, like Alex Sarr averaging 2 blocks a game. That's a sign that he's a good rim protector.
Yeah.
You can look at opponent's field goal percentage against him in the paint as well. That's another sign he's a good rim protector. But steals, like, you could average 2 steals, but that doesn't mean that were a good defender that game.
Yeah, I
Nikola
mean,
Jokic one season averaged almost 2 steals. Is he a good perimeter defender?
yeah, no, I was gonna say the same about Allen Iverson. Like he got a lot of steals, but he was another small guard. He wasn't like an amazing defender, you know. Um, so yeah, it's like yeah, getting your steal average up isn't always like the whole deal with defense. It's to me, it's more like the effort thing, and that's another thing that
Yeah.
I asked him about a couple of times, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm like totally locked in with getting more effort. I know I didn't do it enough in BYU, so he's very aware of it, which is the first step." And we
Yeah.
know that in DC they've been trying to have this whole like you know our guys can guard anybody 1 through 4 or whatever like they've been trying to have that like we can guard any position that's I guess like Bilal is kind of the symbol of that where he can guard 1 through 4 so
Yeah.
if you can be like a little bit like Bilal in that respect and that you're not going to be as good of a defender right away but just like have that kind of element where you're adding
Like
that
we mentioned, don't get
yeah
blown by.
right
Don't be a liability. Basically, at least be able to hold your own because you're not gonna. He's not gonna get the you're guarding this team's number one.
yeah
He's not
exactly.
getting those assignments. He's guarding the third and fourth scoring options where it's like if you can hold your own against them, that's all we're asking.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, and you don't want him to expend a lot of energy on defense because like he's still an offensive player, but
Yeah.
it's just more than he did in college and have some more balance to your game where you can develop into a legit two-way player eventually, because
Yeah.
I do think he should become one eventually because it's
Yeah.
just too
Like
much.
I said, my vision is Jason Tatum, and that includes becoming a 2-way player.
Yeah, I mean Tatum can hold his own on defense, right? And same with Jaylen Brown, so those, that's how partially how they won a championship in Boston, right? So it's like that stuff does make a difference, and the whole two-way player thing can be a bit of a cliche sometimes too, but it does matter just because it's like you don't have to be equally as good on both ends, but you just have to be able to not hurt the team and occasionally make some legit plays, on
Yeah.
both ends. So
Now, the final thing we've talked about all this. Do you
yeah.
think he's going to win Rookie of the Year?
I don't think so because I think that it's going to be a similar thing like with Khan. I think he'll be really good and he'll be a finalist for it. I think he'll be like one
Yeah.
of the top guys. But I just think it's going to be hard for him to win when
You're
he
just
is going to
not
have to
naturally
share
the
a
first
lot of
option.
them. Yeah, he's just going to have to share a lot, and that's good for the team, but not good for his award
Yeah.
capability
If
necessarily. So,
if he's going to have a chance and like this sounds really pessimistic of me to say this. The team needs
mhm.
to win 50 games and he has to average like 18 a night. Like
Yeah.
I'm just being honest because,
Yeah.
it's the same situation for Darren Peterson. He's going to be, second, third option for the Jazz. Probably more often the third option. Um, and to win Rookie of the Year for him, the Jazz also have to win, like 50 plus games, and he's going to have to average 18 points a game. Where it's like, because we just saw it with Khan, like averaging, what do you average, 18 a night? And they
Yeah,
won,
like 18 and a half. Yeah.
45 games, I think. Where it's like,
Yeah, 44 games.
even,
And he also shot like 42% from three. It was
yeah,
ridiculous.
even though
But,
they had a winning record and, he was averaging 18 a night, they still gave it to Coop just because his production was just
right.
so much better. Where it's like to truly, have like the winning matters situation going to Rookie of the Year, you have to be a key player on that team and you have to win like 50 plus games. And 50 plus games
Yeah.
in this East right now for the Wizards, that's just really tough.
Yeah, I don't think they're winning 50. I think someone like Cam Boozer will probably win
I
because
have him or Acuff winning it. I think it's one of those two.
yeah, I think Cam's just gonna be better than A Cuff, in
I think he's
general.
going to be a
Like,
stat pattern. Like, and I say stat pattern, not like in a bad way. I just think naturally he's going to have, a
yeah,
ton of rebounds just because he's an interior player. I think he's going to average a smooth 15 to 17 a night. But I think that assist numbers, he's just such a good playmaker for his size. Those assist
exactly.
numbers are going to help him out. And they're like, oh my goodness, a power forward averaging 5 assists a game as a rookie. Let's give it to him.
Yeah, he's got so many different skills, whereas A Cuff is gonna be like trying to score a lot, and he'll pass too. But I just think Cam is gonna have so much, like so many good stats in so many different areas for the Grizzlies, and they don't have anyone else to like challenge him on that really.
Yeah.
Um, So
I don't think Caleb Wilson's necessarily like out of the race, but I think he's like out of everyone we mentioned. I think he's like the fifth option to kind of win Rookie of the Year, mainly
mhm,
because you still have Josh Giddey over there.
yeah.
Montas is going to demand a few touches as well, where it's like it's almost a similar situation, like role wise, where he's not the bona fide first option. He's going to get second option time with a lot of third option time, where it's just his stats naturally aren't going to be as high as some other guys.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, the thing is like someone like Caleb Wilson, like he could really challenge if he like goes crazy with the Bulls. I mean, like he's already
He
has a
would
lot
have
of
to take over as like, yeah, I am the offense now. Like
right.
he'd have to
But
really take over.
I think a lot of it is like his jump shot. Like if he like because his whole thing was like, yeah, they didn't have me shoot at UNC, but like I could and now, it's not like he can't shoot. It's just that it wasn't his role,
Mm.
So it's like if he really shows out in that respect and he's already crazy going to the rim, like he could probably challenge for it. But yeah, it's a lot of it is like your role versus like team success. I think with rookie of the year specifically, it's one of the ones where they just don't count winning as much because like they don't expect
Yeah,
rookies to drive winning.
yeah,
So
and so yeah, it's just if you really want winning to impact it, which that's what a lot of it's going to have to go down with AJ Dybantsa and even Darren Peterson bringing him up. Now,
yeah,
if they're an All Star the rookie year, they better win Rookie of the Year. Then it'd make no sense for an All
yeah,
Star not to win Rookie of the Year. But
right.
even then, to be an All Star as a rookie, you still have to average like 20 plus a game.
Yeah, it's hard to be an all-star as a rookie. It's
It is.
ridiculous.
Coop didn't
Uh,
even make it. Wimby didn't make it as a rookie. Where it's like
right.
it's just really difficult to be an All Star player your rookie year.
Yeah,
And so if winning isn't going to impact it as much, you need to be an All Star. If you're not an All Star and you have winning impact it, you have to win like 50 plus your rookie year. You just do.
right. Yeah,
And
because
so,
it's not like MVP. Like it's just
yeah,
MVP is totally different. Where it's like that's more of a veteran thing. You should be winning with that.
yeah,
Where it's like, okay, it's your first year. Just go out there, get your numbers. Whoever has the best numbers has the best highlights, coolest tape, rookie of the year. I mean, like Cooper Flag, he didn't contribute to winning, but he had an incredible individual season. And it's like as a
yeah. He had a
rookie.
great season.
Right. As a rookie, it's like you can't ask for more than that. It's their first season. A lot of these guys barely even played college, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
you can't
Now
expect much.
let's say you know AJ and Cam have similar stats where it's like it's almost to the T they have the same stats. Then you probably go based off winning out of that. But it's just with
Yeah.
Cam getting so many more touches, like he's going to come in there and he's probably going to be their first scoring option. I can't think of anyone that's going to challenge that in Memphis right now.
Yeah, I mean they have Cedric Coward, but I don't think he'll
But
be
are you going
better.
to prioritize him on offense over Cameron
Right.
Boozer?
Right, probably not. Yeah.
And so
So
it's just one of those things where I see him just getting more touches, where naturally his stats will look better.
right.
Um, But like, let's say their stats are eerily similar, then AJ Dybantsa has a chance. But it's just I don't. I give that like a 25% chance right now.
Basically, I would consider it like this. The fact that AJ, has a tough road to rookie of the year is a good thing for the Wizards. It sounds weird, but
Very good. That means they have a
yeah.
good team built around him right now. Where it's like
Yeah.
if he came onto the Wizards last season, probably winning
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year. That's
Right.
your goal. Have him win Rookie of the Year. But now it's like shoot, like give us like I said, give us 16 a game, and like that's
Right.
fine. Even if you don't win Rookie of the Year with that, that's fine. We are doing very well if you're giving us 16 a night.
And that's the thing. It's like, most number one picks don't get to be on a team this good right away.
Yeah,
So it's a good situation for him and the team. And I think most guys would pick winning season over rookie of the year anyway. So
yeah, 100%. But that's all we got for this episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in, listening as always, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.